Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hallo und welcome to Gegenpress in the Bundesliga podcast. This is the bonus/transfer show because that's what this is going to turn very quickly into. I'm Manu Fade. He is Stefan Biankowski. Before we dive into today's big topic, which is Max Eberl finally announced by Bayern Munich and what is going to happen next, how are you doing, Stefan?
I'm doing very well. A little under the weather. I've finally caught whatever my wife has been roaming the house with for the last week and a half. She's just about over it, and then Sod's Law dictates that I now get it. So I can only apologise for the coughs and sniffs that do make it past the post-recording edit. I'll do my best to catch all of them and mute my microphone as and when I can. But apologies if I can't.
I think a lot of our listeners are probably there as well. So it's just natural. It's the end of February. A lot of people are struggling with this. The good news is it's almost spring. So there's that. And it's almost, spring means, of course, almost March. March means March 1st is when Bayern Munich will finally welcome Max Eberl in the midst, because that's when the contract officially kicks off. We have done a big Max Eberl podcast in the past on how he will fit into Bayern Munich structure. That was with me and Matt Ford. I think feels like a month ago, maybe, Stefan, that we did this. Feels ages ago now, but obviously, it was the worst kept secret in Munich. Let's say it that way. That Eberl was going to join Bayern Munich, and they finally have that wrapped up. Leipzig receive a 4.5 million euro transfer fee as part of this deal. This is a detail that I think we need to mention here as well. I think what's going to be really interesting now, and we've both mentioned this on a couple shows that we've done last week on Thomas Tuchel, right? Eberl is now in charge. That means stuff can now get done. And I think first and foremost, priority number one, before we get to a bunch of other stuff, is the head coach. Because now that he's in charge, I'll probably need a couple of weeks to work his way into all of this. But Stefan, the head coach will be the number one priority over everything else.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of something we've been waiting for. We suspected that nothing serious would happen before he's in the door. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how quickly that kind of begins to gather pace, gather momentum, because there are a few candidates that have been linked with the Bayern job, but there's also a number of other kind of big clubs around Europe who will be looking for head coaches this summer. I would be surprised if Man United joined the list in the coming days or weeks ahead. So, yeah, you'd think getting Max Eberl in the door as quickly as possible. That's not to say he hasn't been working really since he left Leipzig. I remember when he made the move to Leipzig, I actually saw him at a game like maybe 3 months before he was officially unveiled by them. So I saw him at a Leipzig game. So I would be surprised if he'd been doing the same thing for Bayern Munich. But officially in the door means that they can very quickly move on with things, and that's kind of why we wanted to do the show today.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting today, his press conference, right, where he addressed a number of things, saying that he needs to talk to the players, he needs to talk about, talk to a number of head coaches. He also did address Xabi Alonso and his attempt to bring him to Gladbach in 2021. Remember that, Stefan? So just to put some more oil in that fire. And yeah, so we thought we're gonna play around with this a little bit and see what Bayern Munich might do now that Max Eberl is in charge on the transfer window. And I think this summer is actually going to be a monumental transfer window for this club. So we set a few parameters for ourselves, didn't we? I went over the transfer spendings of the club over the last 5 years. On average, they have spent 117.3 million euros. There were some windows where they spent significantly more than that. There was some where they spent almost nothing. So that averaged out at 117.3 over the last 5 years. And over those 5 years, they averaged in transfer income of 71.11 million euros. So essentially, their net spend was around 46 million. We're going to keep this simple for us. We basically gave ourselves a budget on 117 million euros, looking on where we would improve the squad. Stefan, I think it's quite natural that they will sell a few players, right? I think that is pretty much a given. I think we both have a list of potential departures. Let's do this maybe position by position. I think that is the most natural thing here. I think we both agree when it comes to goalkeepers that they need to do something. From a political standpoint, I don't think it's going to be quite as simple as saying, okay, Manu, you're done. We're going to sign a new big number one goalkeeper. Although I do think that both of us agree that that probably needs to be done here.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
You know when you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.